Hello. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Hello. I hope everybody is having a good day. Sorry for that. I hope that was not too loud. I hope everyone's having a good day. We are back another session, and today we are going to continue working on full stack challenge that I was working on last time, which is this image upload app. So I decided to work with Node in this case. Decided to work with Node in this case for the backend, and yeah, explore what are the capabilities of Node and learn a little bit. So that is what we are going to keep continuing doing today. So last time, what we did was we explored Node and we saw that exactly how we can do it. It's very similar to how any other application does. By the way, I hope my voice is good and the stream quality is good. Stream everything is okay. Sorry. And this time I have increased the font a little bit, so I hope it's much more readable than what was before. Yeah, okay. So continuing on the discussion of how we're going to do things with Node.js. So previously, like what we were doing is you create a router, and then you just say router.get, router.post, blah blah blah. You basically define all the routes in this way, and then on server.js. Sorry, here you just say server.use. You can give it a context and then the router, and then you can listen on a certain port. So the server would start and then start listening, and then you can do curls and stuff. Like you can basically send requests to your server. What we saw was that we cannot easily do a file upload because apparently Express cannot handle form data, multi-part form data. So I think like there are different kind of ways where the internet talks in terms of content. So one of them is application JSON. So you might have seen something in the header, which is like content type header. So content type header is basically going to tell you what kind of document or what kind of data your browser or your client is sending to the server, or the other way around, So the server or the client can figure out a strategy to actually parse how they want to parse your data. Here, what is happening is that there are certain things which are called, I think, X encoded URL something, and application JSON, application things like that, and these are the things which Express can parse, but Express cannot parse something called multi-part form data. So any form which is uploaded, any file which is uploaded, the content type is always multi-part form. And what I understood a little bit of research is that the input format is a little bit different because it comes in chunks, and every one of the chunk has headers and stuff like that. Every one of the headers has content disposition. So again, I have to deep dive a little bit about what is going on here, but what I can simply see here is that why Express JS cannot handle multi-part form. So let's read up what AI has to say, right? By default does not handle multi-part form data because this content is complex data, especially file uploads which require specialized parsing. And here's why it doesn't include it in your form data parsing, because they are structured bodies with boundaries separating different parts form, include text field and binary file data. Parsing these structures requires specific logic to identify boundaries, extract individual parts, etc. The problem here is that, so again, like why it doesn't involve, somewhere it mentions that it embraces a modular approach where specific functionalities are provided by the middleware. In my opinion, middleware is something which talks in terms of filters, which talks in terms of interceptors. So maybe I have to handle cores, maybe I have to handle authentication at a single place. This is where middleware needs to come in. I'm not quite sure why middleware is the one that has to handle your specific data formats. Isn't that just a parser? So I'm still not sure why Express did that. And like the weird part is even AI summarizing this thing, it says, hey, it is a complex data and it requires file uploads. There's binary data, there's text fields, binary fields, and all of that. But it requires specialized parsing, so we don't do it because it's resource intensive, requiring temporary storage for files and potential large amount of memory. Including this functionality directly in Express would make it heavier for applications that do not need file upload. Okay, let's read it again. First of all, it can include text fields and binary fields data. Parsing this structure requires specific logic to identify boundaries and extract individual parts and handle file streams. Which makes sense because text data, I'm assuming, might be where it's headers and stuff like that, or some metadata, and binary is where it's the actual stream data. I am guessing, I'm not sure. I am a lowly poly dev. I am not at all very much, a low level guy. So what do I know? But here's the thing. Then it specifically says that, hey, it can be resource intensive, which, requires temporary storage for files and potential large amount of memory, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. Sorry, including this functionality would make it heavier for the applications. And what I understood is there was some article which I was reading. I don't know if I can find it. It specifically says that, hey, I don't know where it was, but yeah, it specifically says that, hey, it will slow down your application. It will have consequences on your memory and compute time. My simple question is that it's a parser. You accept a request. I'm pretty sure there has to be some sort of logic which would say, okay, if the content type is this, if your content type is this, I would parse in a certain way. If my content type is something else, I would parse in a certain way. So if the content type, even if I am giving a support of multi-part form data in my same framework, and people don't use it, majority of the people would be just using application JSON to upload and to send to and fro the data. The question here remains that why would it be compute heavy if I don't ever parse? I'm not sure. Again, I know nothing about dev. I know nothing about software, I guess. What here is, it's very bizarre that you need a separate, and I was looking at who actually worked on it, and then I realized, oh, it's under Express only. It's under Express only. So what you can think of is that along with that, they segregated out the concept of parsing and supporting multi-form data in a separate repository as a middleware, separate package. Multer it's called, I think. Yeah, called Multer. Okay, so it's actively, but I guess it's JavaScript world, so 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it's actively, if it's the latest cutting edge or not, I don't know. But you have something called storage. You have disk.js, okay. So you have disk.js, which means you have an abstraction on top of an actual disk, okay. And you have memory.js, which I think is like a buffer of some sort. Yeah, so you have a pipe, and I'm guessing this encoding buffer. I don't know what that means. Okay, but buffer data size length. I'm guessing it has to be some sort of buffer in which you keep the binary, right? In which you keep the binary. That's pretty much it. So in storage, you have 2 files, about 100 lines of code, and then here you have this much. Okay, so you have file appender. I'm guessing you have file appender because you might be getting it in chunks, if I understand that correctly. If I understand that correctly, you might be getting it in chunks, but again, I may be wrong on this part. I have to dig a little bit deeper here. If not index, what? Okay, array splice. Okay, so if it is not -1, so if you find the item, then you're gonna splice it. Okay, so you're gonna remove it basically. Yeah, so you're gonna remove a chunk of this thing here. Okay, and then you also have remove uploaded file, multer error, Wow, look at that. You have error messages. Too many parts, file too large. Yeah, again, too many parts. Ooh, not sure. Again, 20 lines. So my question here is, where do you actually parse? And do not tell me that you have a separate parser for it. So you have a busy boy, not busy box. My bad. Sorry. Aha, you have a pen field. You have busy boy. You have concat stream. You have make dir p. I'm guessing parent. Like usually how you do make dir hyphen p. So let's say I want to create a directory here. So directory 1 slash directory 2. This will not create because directory 1 doesn't exist. But if I say hyphen p, it's going to create all the parent directories which doesn't exist. Okay. Object assigned type is extend. Yeah. This is really bizarre. This is really bizarre. And okay. Whatever. I mean, we can simply just try and start, you know, coding and not talking about why it is done and how it's done. Simple. Okay. Okay, cool. So I think we can get started in here, and we have to apparently bring in Multer. So cd, sorry, my bad, not Multer, cd backend, pnpm add Multer. Okay, now that I have brought in Multer, let's quickly go through the documentation of how to actually do it. So you create the middleware and then you say upload destination, but I don't want to upload anything. Do I always have to do that? That is weird. Okay, so you always have to do that, it seems like it. Multi destination uploads. So what? It's gonna take a path or something like that? Upload middleware is upload.fields, name avatar max count 1, name gallery max count 8. So you can okay, I get it what you're doing here. And then you have an app.post. Okay. We create an upload which says uploads. Is this like a context again on top of which I am looking at it? Okay, so you have something called expose file, on top of which you have field names, original name, name of the file on the user's computer, name specified in the form, encoding. Okay. MIME type, you have the size, you have destination, you have file name, you have path, and the buffer, a buffer of the entire file. Okay. We have the path. So what you're saying is the moment it takes it in, it doesn't keep it on memory, it directly flashes to the disk. Is that how it's supposed to work? I quickly want to go through. I hope that was not too loud, sorry. Yeah, I have too many stuff open here. What I quickly want to do is yeah, I want to look at the README and see exactly what it wants me to. It's exactly the same thing what is copied in the home page in end page. Okay. The monitor accepts an options object, the most of basic, which is a destination, which tells monitor where to upload the files. In case you omit, the files will be kept in memory and never returned to disk. Thank you. Thank you. Why is that even a thing? Why can't you let me flush it to a disk, and why do you have to flush it to a disk? I want to do certain validations before I put it on my disk. Okay. By default, monitor will rename the file so as to avoid naming conflicts. The uploading the renaming function can be customized according to the needs. Preserve path keeps the path of the instead of just the base name. File filter function to control which files are. Okay. And in an average web app, destination might be the only thing you require. Then you have uploads. If you have control over one or more uploads, you want to store the storage instead of destination. More engines are available from third parties. So you're telling me Multer plus Azure Blob storage engine. Aha. Okay, I got you there. What I can do is apparently TypeScript friendly storage engine for Azure's blob store. Leveraging strong typings. Aha. Okay, so you can just take in you can take in Azure storage, you can take in sname resolver. Okay, so you say sname resolver, but I do not work with TypeScript. But I guess we can still work with it, right? So okay, this is a multi file, you get a promise back. Return your promise, blob name is your custom logic, okay. Then you have the Azure storage where you keep everything right here in your this thing. Okay, cool. With the blob name, you give the metadata, which I guess has to be a map. Yeah, it's a record of. Yeah, that is what is this type? Is that a map? Is that how you do a map here? Or oh, that's an object. Okay. Yeah, that is a map, right? That is a map. Yeah. So it's an object which says okay, there's the key which is a string, and then the value will also be a string. Okay. Isn't keys always string? Why do we have to specifically say that? That's weird. Okay, so container access level is blob, URL expiration time is 60. Okay, so basically that is all I need. I don't need to do anything else except the fact that I'm not going to put this garbage in here because I have to read it from some kind of an environment file. Okay, it seems like I can just details of the configuration object, blah blah blah. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna go here. I honestly don't think I'm gonna go here. Yeah, so let's explore. I'm not gonna explore this for now. We're just gonna explore. We're just gonna explore the part where it's yeah. Okay. So const multer is this multer dot what's the function that we had to call? No, we have to give it an object, and we don't want to give it an object though. In here it says you can say a file filter. I am wondering what exactly is a file filter. Okay, so if I go here, it takes in options. There's options here. So in there, if you have storage options and all of that, limits and file filter. Okay, so I want to look at exactly what this one. Okay. I want to know exactly what kind of a function. I think this is what the function has to be. No, this is a wrapped filter. So you get a request, you get a this thing, you get a CB. Okay. The files left is not equal or 0. Okay. And then you somehow say that this is files left, and okay. If you want more control over your uploads, you would want to use the okay. Not sure about. Do they give more information on this? Okay, yeah, this is exactly okay. I was correct. Set this to a function to control which file should be uploaded and which should be skipped. The function should look like this. The function should call CB with a boolean to indicate if the file should be. To reject the file, pass null. Okay, to accept the file, pass this. You can also pass an error if something goes wrong. Okay, you can just pass an error like this. You're passing in null, why can't it be a default value? And what the heck is CB? Who calls you is my question. Yep. Okay. Okay, never mind. I guess we can simply start working and not, think much about it. So I don't want to give this part in here for now. Okay. And so I say this is an upload request and this is async, but before that I have to give it the middleware, which is I think multi.use, something like that, dot single. Okay. Upload dot single, and I have to give it a name. This is what I understood. Yeah, I have to give it a name. They have to give it the function. Okay. So now I'm gonna remove. No, I'm not gonna remove this. So what kind of responses do you get to the question? Field name size, fields, parts, header. So this is not what you're looking for, I suppose. I guess this is what you get back. Let's first do that. If you can achieve this, I think it would be good. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. So you have the body, and you have this thing here also. Right? Okay. So in here, what I'm gonna do is nodemon index server. Yeah. So let's quickly go ahead and try and upload something. Right. Yeah. Upload a valid file. We are good here. Must have the body file. Okay. It still has this. Let's send it. And we got a 200 back. Look at that. We should put in here. Okay. So the body is null. It seems the body is null. Now I know what the text is. You can also send in a text. So let me do that again. And how do you clear this out? Okay, so if I say this is name, and if I give it a text and file name dot count file, let's just say, okay, and if I send this thing, yes, this is where I say, okay, this is another object in which I have an attribute of name, and then file is another object in which I have field name, which is a file. I have original name, which is download.svg. File is coming from file thing itself. Encoding 7-bit because it's SVG is 7. I'm not sure. Again, I have to read a little bit on this part. So you have the buffers, and then you have a set. Interestingly, what if I try to change the file in here? What if I go and say in my downloads and use the same thumbnail that we have today? Look at that. We send it. And we got this buffer back. 8954 E47. Okay. So magic numbers, just there has to be some sort of magic number. Yeah. I uploaded a PNG if I'm not wrong. 89. Look at that. Look at that. We have 8954 E47, and we have that. We have that in here. We have the magic numbers. After that, we have a bunch of bytes. It's 764251. So divide by 1000, divide by 1000. So it's 7 KB, right? Am I right? We can actually go ahead and check, I suppose. We can go here and in here. Okay, so it's live 3, right? If I say LL downloads live, okay, and yeah, it is 764251. So 747K, which is 0.7 MB, right? Yeah, not I mentioned 7 KB, which is wrong. 747 KB, 0.7, 0.7 MB. Yeah. Okay. That is pretty cool. So we get everything in here. That is awesome. That is awesome. We get image PNG, image SVG, stuff like that, and blah blah blah. Question here is, what if I say a file filter is file filter? So we have to define a function in here which takes in the request, takes in the file, and the callback function. Alright. Console log file.fieldName. And say we are ignoring this one. Okay. Okay. I suppose we can remove this log. Yeah, we can remove that log for now. So let's not do that. Let's do this. Okay. So in here, if I send it again, it's stuck because I have to call the callback for it to pass. Yes, it mentions somewhere, right? Yeah, the function should call CB with a boolean to indicate if the file should be accepted or rejected, right? And then if you also want to pass an error, let's do that. Let's do here CB null file. I have to do a callback. So in here, do it in this way. Now if you send it again, this is 200, okay? And so since I'm not using the terminal for sending the request, why can't I just node on server JS? Because I have to. Okay. So in here, the first thing is here is that, so this is the field. So because it's a middleware, it would go to the first. This is exactly what I was talking about. It's select filter. The original name, you have the encoding and the MIME type. It had everything right here, but then in here you stripped off many of the stuff, and you stripped off the main stuff, which is the buffer, where I actually wanted to do a check. So this is useless, I feel. This here is useless. Okay. Because I actually wanted to get hold of the buffer. The reason behind that is, so if you go here, there are somewhere continuing, yeah, but there are user stories, I think it's called, yeah, user stories here. Create a simple image, blah blah blah. Users can upload an image at a time. The file should be JPEG, PNG, or GIF. The maximum size is 2 MB. So for JPEG, PNG, or GIF, every one of them are binary format, so they have a magic number that we can try and check that if they are the correct format or not. If not, we're going to reject it. And then the maximum size is 2 MB. Sorry. Okay, the maximum size is 2 MB. So this is what we exactly want. Okay. So let's quickly do that, I suppose. Let's quickly do that, I suppose. So this is useless. And in here, I'm just gonna say, not quite sure what exactly this is. So if I call this, what do you give me back? You again give me back a monitor. Okay. So I guess this is the module, and this is the actual object which enwraps your entire thing. So I don't want to call it upload. I want to call it monitor middleware. Okay. So you have this, and then you have this. Okay. So you're saying upload. So what do we do? Request.file. If request.file is null. I guess we can do this. So it would always check for null and this thing, right? So what we can do is res.status, not this, not 404, 400, and the body we can say no file uploaded. Sounds good. Sounds pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good to me. Yeah. In here, what we do is for request dot file dot size is 0. We can, we can ignore that. We can ignore that. The second thing that we want to do in here is we want to say that what is the file what is the file size? It's 2 MB, right? So if file dot size is less than equals to, or file dot, well, we have to say the file. Const file should be equal to this. Size is greater than 2 bytes, 200 KB, 2 KB, 2 MB. The question here is, so I can simply do into 1000, 2000. I mean, not that. Yeah. If this is the case, then I'm gonna say status. There's something called 422, I think, or 413. 413 H code content too large. Yeah. Do we have anything called HTTP status? No. So let me just hardcode this stuff in here. Dot send, and you want a message to say file size is too large. I want to do that. Huh? Yeah. File size is too large. Upload file within 20. Something like that. Something like that. Second thing I want to do is a check on the file content. So if I go to that gist again, right? If I go to the gist again, there's PNG format. So let's, I think, copy paste this PNG formats and all. Const PNG. So let's put it like this for now. Okay, so then there should be a GIF format right here. So there is also GIF 7, something like that. But yeah, I think const GIF is this, and then you have const JPEG, which is this guy, which is okay. Sorry. Okay, cool. I think we have the setup done. The question here is, how do I store the data, and how do I test it out? Right? How do I test it out? Okay. Okay, just give me a second. I will be right back. Okay, just hold on. I'll be right back. Hey there, hello. I really hate to be that person, but you spelled right wrong on your right left. I saw that now. So when I was typing, I made the mistake first, then I reverted it. Then it looked wrong to me for some reason, and I reverted it back. So I reverted 2 or 3 times, and then anyways I landed with the wrong one. Awesome. Awesome. But hey, thanks for joining the stream. How is it going with you? Okay, cool. Back with our code, I guess. File.size greater than this thing. Okay. Res.status for 13. Yeah, so it's an content too large to process, something like that, like we saw, right? Okay, but the question here is how do we do this? So we of course have the buffer. Console log file buffer. Right, so we have that. And I mean, I have to go here, and if I send this, yeah, we have the buffer here. We have the buffer here, and I think the buffer is of event. Is that how you do it? No. Type of, yeah. So if I do that, I believe it is of the type uint8 something. Oh, it's object to say. Why is it saying object? Object. How do I get type, exact type in Node.js? How to get that type in JavaScript? Type of blah blah blah. Okay, how to get the exact type of the object in JavaScript? Can you do that? To get the exact type of an object in JavaScript, especially for built-in objects and custom classes, accurate would be to object.prototype toString.call. And call returns an object representation of this. By default, it mostly returns this. Call would be, when this call with call method, the object is passed as of this context and it returns a string in the format object type, where type is the internal class. This provides a more specific type then. Okay, so what you're telling me is that whenever you say objects dot so I guess it has to be object prototype to string dot call buffer. Okay, something on my keyboard. Okay, buffer. So I can simply say this is can't introduce selection doesn't form. What you're talking about, dude? Why can't I just say file.buffer const buffer equals file buffer? In here I can simply say buffer. If I do this part in here, if I send the request, what will you? It's an uint8 array, which I clearly mentioned that it is, but it's not a clamped array, right? It's not clamped uint8 clamped array or clamped uint, something like that. But I guess this is good enough where the range should be from it's 8 bytes, so it's 255. Sorry, 255, or I think it's 128 to minus 128 to 127 in case it's but it's uint, so it's unsigned, so it's 0 to 255. Okay, 0 to 255 always. Okay, cool. Okay, so what we can do is, so one thing we see is we support only 4 stuff. Right, we support only 4 stuff, so it would make sense to actually, okay, let's do it in this way. Const supported my types is set of, can we do something like that? Or can we do something like, okay, so let's quickly Google up JavaScript set inline declaration and in. How do I declare variables? No, I'm talking about set. Yeah, so you can. Okay, this is how you do it. Okay, cool. New set. And you have an image PNG, image JPEG, and then for GIF image, I am wondering content type. We can actually do a download GIF samples, right? So we can go here, and this seems like a GIF. Okay, can I just download it? Can you just let me download it? Doesn't seem like it, but save image as. Can I just download? Yeah, it seems like I can just download it. I'm gonna take this in. We have to console log things first. Okay, console log file dot type something. File type. Is that correct? So let me just upload a file in here. This is the file that I'm gonna upload. Let's send it out, and then image if is what we have. Ah, makes sense. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. Now, what we want to do is const my type is this, and if supported my types dot if supported my types dot has file dot my type, which I can extract out. I don't know if we are gonna use it ever, but yeah, we can take this out completely, I suppose. So if it doesn't have sorry, we can send the yet again, and we can say this is a 400 unsupported file image format, only support, and copy paste it, you know. There's something called content, drag and drop. Okay, so I don't know how the errors are gonna be, so just gonna go and say the file should be JPEG, PNG, or GIF. The file should be JPEG, PNG, or and maximum size is. So I want to say this also. File touch. You can say error message, and in here we can say display message. Right. So one can be for your error thing, and no file uploaded. I don't know what to say to this one. This one here is gonna be display message, error message. Okay, yeah, suppose we are good here. The question here is, how do we do the check efficiently? What I'm thinking is, because they are only 4 and we are never going to extend this, I'm just going to extract it out. Const. That is thing. So again, I don't think so we have to think a lot, because of the fact that it's just 4 bytes. It's always 4 bytes. It's always an O of 1 operation of how you're checking. It's never really slow. So I suppose yeah, I suppose we can simply do that, right? We can simply do that. New UH array. And what do I have to give? I can give it in the same. I can give it a buffer with length. Okay, cool. So if I just give file buffer and a length of 4, I mean, cannot do that, my bad. So here 4, will that work? I don't suppose so. So you have to do in here 0x 0x 0x. That is also not working. Maybe for this. Okay, the argument number is not assignable to an like array buffer, like array dot. How to instantiate a new this thing right here? How do you do that? How do you do that? Aha, I guess you can simply do this. And what do your argument number is not assignable to array dot, like, what exactly do you need? You need an array like stuff, which is an array like of number. Okay, okay. So what is it? You can also have an array buffer. So what is an array buffer? Array buffer is a slice on top of something. Okay, and what is array like? Array like is n number of, what is this exactly? Recursively unwraps a weighted type of a type not promised. This thing should resolve never the semblance of behavior of a weight. You need an array buffer. How do you create an array buffer? Right, that's, I suppose, is okay. So you have an array like, so it's an interface, and who all extends this thing. So I think you cannot simply just go to the standard library. So a little bit like this. So represents a raw buffer of binary data which can be used. Store data for different typed arrays. Array buffer cannot be read or written directly, but can be passed to typed array or data view to interpret the raw buffers. Allowed array buffer for the type of. I was doing exactly that. Why did it not let me? So, why did it not let me do it? I was doing exactly this thing. Not sure. So this is GIF is 47, 49, 46, 48, AP, FF, 8, 0, F. So what we can do is supported find type is new map, create a new map, JavaScript inline. How do you do that? Simply have this. Okay, good. That is pretty damn cool. So in here, I can say this, and and then this. Sorry. The JPG will be having and then wait a second, I did that wrong. This is JIT. And here this would be this. This would be AP. Cool. Okay, what are you talking about? Signature mix match. Map creates map objects, iterable, so does it actually create? So anyways, supported dot keys, I suppose it has to have keys, right? So which gives a map iterator, it doesn't give. I just say has. Can I have has? Okay, so yeah, I can have. Okay, so if it does have, then what are we gonna do? can simply iterate over. The problem here is extending a particular format is not great because I'm hard coding basically what I have here. So I'm not going to do that. So let's do this. So my type is this thing. So we know for a matter of fact we do support it. So let's now bind it to a variable. The supported time dot has this thing and this, not this. I suppose we just have to do this. And let's call it magic numbers. So in here, have to dot length, and then const offer is file. Oh, we already have the file offer right here. Const offer equals file offer, and in here I'm gonna say that if magic numbers of I is not equal to buffer of I hope we can do that, buffer of I. So I'm simply gonna paste this part in. Yeah, okay, cool. Seems good to me. Seems good to me. In fact, why can't we do this? Because if it only has, then we move forward. Do the bind here, do the bind in here, then we do this check. And after everything, we're gonna say 201. That's all. Simply gonna say 201, which means that it uploaded the file. Okay. Simply gonna say that. Okay, cool. Now let's do this. App crash, waiting for the file to change. New map is not a thing, you're saying? I was looking it up. Okay, I have too many things. There is new map right here. Some sort of ES6 only, something like that. Okay, we can do it in a different way. We can do this in a different way. Just simply do this. Okay. Includes. That's all. Nothing else. Index of. Hmm. Okay. Cool. Now are you happy? You're happy. Let's send this up. Let's send this up. Unsupported image form. Okay. Cannot read properties of undefined command. Uh-huh. Because you don't return stuff from here. That is the first issue. Second issue is what is the MIME type? It has to be GIF, right? Yeah, okay. So what you're crying about? Does it reach here? No, it doesn't reach. Okay. I get it, I get it, I get it. This is wrong. This is wrong. Okay. So for let MIME type and the value of this thing. And why do we need object of if we fairly simple this? If empty is equal to MIME type, I have to do this check. You're gonna have to do this check here. This will be valid. So instead we can find this in here. And then we are simply gonna do this in here. And yeah, everything seems to be working fine. Everything seems to be working fine. And in here, so we sort log sorry let is supported false. So if this is supported is true. If not supported, I mean, I'm writing pretty bad code here, but yes. Yeah. But who cares, right? So if I send it now, this says this cannot set headers after they're sent to the client. Okay, what exactly is this? Line number 40. Okay, so you gotta return here first. Then you got to return here, and you also gotta return here. Now if I send till that, so I suppose downloads video. Yeah, that's the issue. Size is the issue. Size is the issue, right? So this is 962 KB. No, size is not the issue. Size is not the issue. Unsupported image format. Question is why? Why is it saying that it is unsupported image format? Yeah, wait. If I run this, oh, I messed up something. Pretty dumb, right? Okay, cool. And why are you misaligned? That's not aligned properly. Hmm, I guess because of that. But now if you do send, still complains, but at least this came in correct. Wait a second. What is happening? I'm still very. Can I not destructure? Is it my question? Wait a second. I was right. My brain is farting right. So you take this, and the first part is your image PNG. The second part is your magic number. I do that. If I say empty magic number and mine type, what do you start printing? First say this is this, and then the second is this. But you only say two of those, not three. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's the issue. Console log empty Minecraft magic. What am I missing here? Okay. The first element is a string, the second element is an array. Possible, not an issue. Why not to say in? But in I think is like index, right? Index. Okay. Third. Yeah. This empty is coming up as the first one. Magic number is coming up as this. So, what if I say value? Const empty value is magic numbers equal to value. Will that work? Okay, still didn't. Because we did a stupid thing. I want to off. Send this. The first part is this, the second part is image. I'm very confused of why it is not destructuring. Do I have to structure like that? Is that what I'm supposed to do? No. structure property. Just going blank right now. Not sure. Okay, yeah, that is what that is what exactly I was doing. What exactly I was doing. Supported lines. Okay, let's send this request. This is what you have. This is what you have. It's an array of arrays, right? What I can say is now stuff this. Stuff this. Yeah, I think it's already 10 o'clock and I have to go for dinner. Today was not a very productive stream. We didn't get anything done, honestly. We just explored how Alter works. I got stuck with a very stupid thing, but that's how it works every day. Not every day is gonna be that you actually put out a lot of code. It just happens. So yeah, but I'm quickly gonna do this thing in here because my mind is going crazy, so quickly I want to check this before I go. If I hit a send, yes, so these are all arrays. Next thing I do want to do is AP is equal to value. So what now? Yes. What now? Yes. What am I doing anything wrong in here? What if I just say this? If I say this, if I do this. Yes. I'm still very confused of why is this a problem. Okay, that's fine. What we are gonna do right now is if I send this, finally do. Okay. Next thing I want to do is support with it. If I send this, now it's working. Okay, so we did till here. We did till here. Now, for let I equal 0, I less than. So let's call this magic numbers. Magic numbers of length. If magic number of not buffer of this support false, and then you quickly do a break. do we need to do this? Yes, we do need to do this. What did I do different then? I am not sure what I did different then. Wow, okay, now it works fine. Now it works fine. But we can simply put it out into a util, I guess. Tools.js, and I can say function validate file. So this has to be a multer file, I think. We don't do that. Okay. So in here, we can extract this out. Okay. And you first have to export this. And then here, you say say this. In here, we don't say that. We somehow have to return the status code. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to do that, and I don't want to put in my thought right now. What I quickly want to do here is that I want to see if my Azure right is up and running. Okay, yeah, I think dinner is served and I need to drop now. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Whoever joined, thank you. And yeah, I hope you have a good night, and we'll meet soon. I'll be off a few days, so I won't be streaming, and going on a vacation, a small vacation. So yeah, hope to start working on this again once I reach and get more focused, so that yeah, today also I was a little bit distracted here and there. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and yeah, thank you and bye bye.